Tim Sile said, this ANC breakaways, coalition politics, and all of what do we do about all of that? I'm saying in that context of what's been happening in the country, how do we understand the breakaways? Or just take the MK party. You can't say, I remain a member of the ANC, but I support a party which is going to campaign to defeat the ANC. That doesn't make sense. One of those two things is wrong. So in terms of these breakaways from the ANC, take that breakaway. You can understand it. It is led by the same people who tried to destroy SARS. It's exactly the same people. It is exactly the same people. So you can understand who they are. Or even take the youth. Take the Youth League of the ANC. Got affected by all of this. At some point you have an ANC Youth League which has got its own political platform. It's separate, different from the political platform of the ANC. It can't be ANC Youth League, it must be somebody else's Youth League. What happened? Suddenly you've got, the very popular thing. I think even my comrade president here referred to about land. There's established ANC policy, which is in the Freedom Charter. If you come to me to say, now let's still do something about the land, I'd say, bear in mind what we've said in that Freedom Charter for many decades. The land shall be shared among those who work it. That is a very well thought out position, strategic position with regard to solving a number of issues here. The national question, the land question, how do we handle it? No, somebody pops up. No. Let's take the land and give it to our people. So I say, I belong to the ANC. Who, according to the ANC in South Africa, is not our people? There's nobody who's not our people. And clearly all of us have read it, the Nugent report. And I'm quite sure all of us have read the Zondo Commission report. The Zondo Commission report, among its conclusions on the SARS matter, says one of the people who played a leading role in the effort to destroy SARS was the President of the Republic of South Africa. That's a strange conclusion. Fortunately, I was not president at the time. The Zondo Commission says, in terms of all of the evidence that we've received, one of the things that stands out is that the President of the Republic made certain that he was one of the leading people in terms of the SARS processes and in terms of the ESCOM processes. It's in the Zondo Commission report, it's in the public domain. And yet again, we have this strange phenomenon. Comrade President, that what I'm now saying, about what the Zondo Commission says about who was responsible for this attempt to destroy SARS includes the President of the Republic. That is new news. It isn't. And of course, you know who the president was. And it says so in black and white, Jacob Zuma was part of the leadership in the process to destroy SARS. That's not my opinion. I'm telling you what the Zondo Commission says. I'm telling you what the Zondo Commission says. Now, that's a bit of a conundrum. That you would have the President of the Republic of South Africa participating in a process to destroy the institution that gives him the means to govern. That's a kind of contradiction. It's a contradiction that then raises a question. Who indeed is this president? Because there is no way you are going to be able to square the circle that the President of the Republic of South Africa acts to destroy the South African Revenue Service. Either the Zondo Commission is entirely wrong, or we are dealing with somebody who is entirely wrong. I'm saying, colleagues, that I think this is part of the process of the understanding of what Andres describes as age 1 and age 2. And what happened during these two ages, which are opposite to each other. I think many of us in the room, perhaps with the exception of the panelists, are old enough to remember when we first had our first national power cut, when the country went blank because of ESCOM, what is called load shedding, the national. The first time it happened was in January 2008. You remember that even the mines had to shut down for a whole week. Again, apart from our panelists here, the older people would remember that at that time I was president. And the previous month of December 2007, either December or November 2007, I'd apologized publicly, because what had been happening is that you had regional instances of load shedding. So in November, December 2007, I apologized for that. So on behalf of the government, we apologize for this, because the reason for it is because there are certain things the government should have done and did not do. We delayed. And hence this apologies to the nation. I repeated that in the State of the Nation Address 2008. You can read it up, it's on the internet. So, national power cut, January 2008. Many years later, I read in the newspapers that there's a report that has leaked which discusses the power failure of January 2008. And in reality, I was very wrong to apologize. Because what Eskom did, the practice within Eskom at the time, was that it had its own internal monitoring process about internal performance of the power stations. And the regulation was that each power station must have a minimum of 22 days supply of coal immediately with it, and not to go below that. So the internal monitoring system kept an eye on that. And already during December 2007, that monitoring system was telling the power station managers, you are running out of coal, replenish. And they didn't. What caused the power failure of January 2008 was the power stations ran out of coal. Because the power station coal managers at each station didn't respond to this alert from within this organization saying replenish. They didn't run out of coal, so you can't produce electricity in a coal-fired power station without coal. I saw this thing in a report in a newspaper. It was a leak. So naturally, as you'd imagine, I'm very interested in all of this. This was a leak from a report of a special investigation unit. There was an SIU that had been commissioned to study certain things at Eskom. That SIU reported to the president in 2017 and said what I'm saying, that the reason for the power failure in January 2008 was easily avoidable. All you needed to do was to replenish the coal supplies at the power stations, that's all. The SIU report says, but they didn't do it, for whatever reason. That SIU report was never released publicly. To this day, it's still not been released. But as you would imagine, I have some friends in high places. So I asked them, I said, look, I've read in the media that there is such an SIU report. And it's in the office of the president. Can I please get a copy? And they gave me a copy. And indeed, the report says what I've just said. Now, colleague, I'm talking too long. But I'm trying to talk about 30 years of democracy. Question was raised very legitimately about Eskom. I'm saying the first national power failure at Eskom had absolutely nothing to do with the narrative that is told. No, this was failure of government. It had nothing to do with failure of government. It was a deliberate decision from within the organization to produce that crisis. And one of the immediate consequences of that is, according to the procedures at Eskom, they declared an emergency. An emergency meant that in terms of coal, for instance, you didn't have to put out tenders and all of that. You just go and buy coal where it is available. That immediately doubled the price of coal. Immediately. And that report will also say some of those station managers pocketed something from that. I'm saying What the Nugent Commission particularly alerted us to, that there were some people in this country who did not like this democracy and sought to act in a negative manner to weaken it. I'm talking about ESCOM. We take a decision, the government takes a decision in 2004. Whereas we had been saying to ESCOM, look, don't build new capacity, generating capacity, for a number of reasons. We changed that and said 2004, okay, please build. That's when the decision was made to build Kusile, Medupi, Ngula, these power stations. 2004. But the record will tell you that the construction of Medupi, the first one to go under construction, started in 2007. So the question that arises in my head, what's the delay? Decision get taken in 2004, implementation starts 3 years later. Why? It's not easy to find an answer to that question in terms of the ESCOM reports that you'll see on the internet. But the reason is, in fact, not me say the reason. What happened was that they started to construct Medupi before 2007. Not surprising when the government says 2004, please build. But they had to stop the building, destroy what they had constructed, because the companies that were paid and commissioned to prepare the building site for the building of Medupi didn't do their work properly. It's called geotechnical work. They didn't do their work properly. The result of which is when the construction of Medupi started, it sank. Had to be destroyed, more work done on the site. That delayed the construction of Medupi for 2 years. In my view, that's not an accident. That you'd have companies which normally are paid, they do this job all the time, to prepare sites for construction of whatever, and they messed this one up so badly that it delays construction of Medupi by 2 years. I'm saying I don't think that was an accident. It's consistent with these people who intervened with regard to SARS. They were intervening with regard to the matter of electricity. Medupi, Kusile were supposed to have been completed by 2014. In which case there would never have been this electricity crisis. But Kusile is still not completed to this day. Why? Seven years after the construction of Kusile started, 7 years, it was not generating any, whatever you call that unit, of electricity after 7